Hi, Susan Leahy here from RobertsRulesMadeSimple.com, coming to you with another episode of Robert's Rules Revealed. Today, we're going to be talking to consultant Terry Clark from RealBoardSolutions.com. Before we start, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single episode. All right, so today Terry Clark from Real Board Solutions is going to be talking to us about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and that is the importance of providing training and development to your boards. Terry, thank you for joining us today. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Susan.
Great. I'm so glad you're here because I think that this is such an important topic for the fact that the better we do at providing training and development, the better our boards can function, succeed, and really just get productive work done. So I'm going to just jump right in by asking you, well, why do boards need to make sure that they bring in and conduct board development and training?
Well, number one, right at the top, because they've got individual legal obligations.
Hello, we don't want to get in trouble with the law.
Pardon me? Okay,
I said we don't want to
exactly.
get in trouble with the law, right?
Yeah, you got it. Number one. Number two is your own personal volunteer time, the time that you're giving.
Right.
That you could be doing other things.
Right. Well, and you know what's interesting about that one, Terry, is I have a little equation that I always use when I work with boards, is that time equals, and inevitably everybody says money, but really that equation is time equals life, right? And so I love that you're bringing that up as like the number two. We want to save people's life in providing board training. So that's great. What would be the third option if there's a third option?
Well, the number three is if you don't have the training and you're not following the organization's mission and vision, typically you've got chaos.
Right. Yeah. We've got to keep focused on that mission and being mission-centered, not bringing in our own agendas and driving our own agendas, but really making sure that we're completing the agenda, the mission of the organization. So very powerful. And I'm just going to add a fourth real quickly, if I could. I think people forget that board training can really improve retention and recruitment of volunteers. I don't know, how many boards do you work with that are actually volunteer boards?
100%.
Oh, 100%. There you go. And how important it is to provide that to keep members motivated. So that's great. So we've kind of talked about the why, and hopefully that's motivated some people to think about, well, gosh, we got to bring this stuff in. But let's talk a little bit about how. How do you provide board development and training to your clients, your customers?
Quickly, there's three levels of them. The first is foundational training, and that's having clarity on the type of board you actually are, whether you're a fundraising board or a policy board or a hybrid board or an operational board. You need that foundation.
Right. Well, I love that word. It's so concrete. It's in the foundation. And if you don't have a grasp of the foundation, how are you going to stand confidently in your position? So that's great. So there's foundational training. What would be the next level of training?
Number two is your individual role and responsibility, and a good example of that is: are you an officer? Are you on a committee? What's your level of interaction with the staff? And that list goes on and on.
Yeah. Well, and that is a really important one, because if you don't provide the roles and responsibilities training, then people can overstep, overestimate, underdetermine, what is their responsibility. So I think that that's a really important one to make sure that we don't assume that people know. We make sure that we put it out there concretely. Now, is there a third level to this? Because you've talked about foundational training, you've talked about roles and responsibilities. What would be the next level?
Probably the next one is equally important, but much more time, and that's around succession planning. What's your role moving forward as a director in the organization? Big picture.
Right, big picture, and how important that is to actually provide some development and training and just vision work, sharing that with your members so they know where they're going. I do want to give you real quickly a plug at realboardsolutions.com. I know that you actually have a couple of great webinars if you wanted to kind of talk about those that provide some great opportunities for people to access you electronically. So what are your most popular webinars?
Well, the number one is always, it's how to hire your next executive director.
Right.
Number one.
Right.
And the second is
so important.
The second is what kind of a board are you? And we talk about the various types of boards.
That's
Makes
great.
it very clear, brings clarity.
That's
What
great.
about you, Susan? What are your two top ones?
Well, you know what? I tell you, I love that you and I are cut so from the same cloth, and we really are about supporting boards, but we're doing it in such unique, different ways. And you know that my role is Robert's Rules of Order. So I think that within all this board development training that you're offering, having some type of Robert's Rules of Order training to ground everybody in how to run a great meeting. So I have a great webinar called Robert's Rules Made Simple. And then one of my favorites, and really it's always in demand, is, well, how do you chair a meeting with confidence? So once we've kind of equipped people with the process, now we've got to really teach them the skill set to facilitate a great meeting. So very important. Any other tips or tricks that you'd like to add as we're finishing up about elements that should be in board development or training?
The list goes on and on, Susan. And a lot of it, of course, depends upon the sector that they're in.
Right.
And the commitment, the size of the budget,
Right.
the size of the staff, and there's perhaps no end to it.
Right. And I think the one thing that we can say, regardless of any of those factors, is that providing some type of board development is essential and is crucial. Again, Terry, thank you for your time, your energy, and your expertise. This is Susan Leahy from Robert's Rules Revealed.